Hello beautiful community. This week's video we're turning a burl. I got this burl from John. John's got a waste disposal business and we use his services quite a bit. So John dropped off this burl and I'm not really sure what type of wood it is. It's some sort of eucalyptus. Looking at the end result, it's a lighter type wood. It's got grain going all over the place and it's got a few different colours to it. So I'm not really sure what kind of wood it is, but it's ended up a beautiful result. And I turned it into a bowl, and then I had a funny feeling that it was still wet and it was going to crack and split on me. So I ended up putting it away, and I thought I'd leave it for 6 months, 12 months, and then either fill it with resin or sawdust or coffee grinds. I wasn't really sure, so it just sat on the shelf for quite a few months. The other issue I had was the Powermatic bandsaw that I've got. I've had it for quite a few years now and I'm not sure where I got it from. It was somewhere in Melbourne and it's been a great bandsaw. I broke a part off it. It was in the cogs that help tension the blade. So I broke some of the teeth off the cogs and they're cast iron, so I couldn't sort of fix it up. So I made the decision to buy a new part, and of course you can't get them in Australia. The only place you can get them is in America. Well, the only place I could find a part was in America. The first online store that I found that had it, they were selling it for about $600. Of course, I can't afford $600 just for that one part. So I found another one which was $300. That was a couple of days later. When I was still searching, I found it. And I decided to bite the bullet and buy that one. So it took about 3 months to ship over to Australia. And in that time I was without the bandsaw, and I used it just about all the time. So I was very sad for that 3 months that I didn't have the bandsaw. So once I got the part, which was the correct part, the process of putting the bandsaw back together again started. So before I started putting it back together, the bearings were sticking a little bit, so I replaced all the bearings. As I got an opportunity to do that before I put the other parts together. It had been 3 months since I pulled it apart, so it took a little while to work out where every part sat. So of course I put the wheel on and then realised that I needed to put a few guards and different things on before the wheels. That took a little while to work out. So otherwise it went together quite well. When I pulled it apart, I put all the parts in a box, hoping that I wouldn't lose any of the parts. And when I finished, I just checked the box, and of course there was nothing in there. Normally you find that there's a bolt or a washer or a screw left there, and then you got to work out where it should have gone. But this time I used all the parts, so it didn't take too long to put it together. And I installed a new blade, and of course it works a treat. So now that the bandsaw is working, I can get to the pile of wood that's sitting there waiting to get cut up, and I'll do that over the next week or so. So I probably had it sitting on the shelf for over 6 months, and it really didn't move at all. It didn't crack or split as much as what I thought it would be, or didn't really do anything. So I ended up filling it up with resin. I used charcoal colour and also a white luster. By the time I finished turning it, there wasn't much of the resin left. It just filled up a few of the cracks. So I still don't know what type of wood it is. It was a very hard wood. I used the carbine tools to hollow it out in the end, and then I finished it off with a bit of tung oil. So I really like this one. It's a plain bowl, nothing fancy, just a plain bowl, but the grain and the colour of the grain is very nice. Doesn't really stand out in the photos as much, but I was just looking at it before, and it's a beautiful wood. I wish I'd know what type of wood it was, or where John got it, and get a bit more of it, but anyway, we'll just have to put up with what we've got. That's about all I can report for this week. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.